Good morning, and we're nearing the end of our reading of Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. I just want to make sure that we're on. Yes, we're coming to a close of this book. Maybe I'll readjust my thing there. Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. It is the book that goes with the deck, Tarot of Ceremonial Magic. Just for fun, that's an old copy of the first edition US Games edition. It is so old that it looks like a biohazard by now. But anyway, if you're a collector of these things, this is what you will find on the internet for exorbitant prices. But there's a collector's prices. If you're not a collector, don't even be tempted to pay a lot of money for that. But anyway, so we're nearing a close. As a matter of fact, we're on the last chapter, chapter 6, which is Tarot Divination. And there is a number of appendices. As a matter of fact, that much of the book is appendices with information on the astrological, Kabbalistic, Enochian, and Goetic collateral material to help you actually use the cards in practical magical applications. But because that section of those appendices filled with many graphs and figures and tables and such, it would actually be stupid and extremely boring for me to try to read that to you. But after today's reading of chapter 6, we'll go through on the following days, go through the appendices, and I'll explain things and describe things without having to attempt to narrate a chart or narrate a graph or a table. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I'm thinking about starting a new old book sometime either later this week or about the weekend. I'm not sure what book I'm going to read. There's several more that I've written that I wouldn't mind reading. So I hope you're enjoying these morning readings. It's doing me a world of good, just for my sanity. So anyway, here we go. I don't know if you read tarot cards, read them for yourselves or read them for others. I do, okay? And it was one of the first sort of occult magical things that I did years and years and years and years ago in the 70s when I picked up the Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot deck. And I would volunteer to read the cards for my esoteric-minded friends. And I just thought I'd just roll up my sleeves and go with it and see how the cards affect me and my ability to tap into a stream of consciousness that I feel is the spirit behind tarot divination. And I enjoy it very much. It's really hard to read for myself, though, because I lie to myself so easily. I'll just lay down the Tower card and go, oh, great, I was hoping for that. Oh, cross my death. I was hoping for that. But when I read for other people, I have no problem just saying, well, there it is, you poor bastard. That's you're in trouble, you know. I'm detached now, and when I can hit that same level of detachment for myself, things go pretty smoothly. Now, I wrote this book. I started writing this book probably in 1989. So, excuse me, I'm thinking of something else. I started writing this book probably around 1993. So that was many, many, many years ago. And I've read a lot of tarot cards and my views on divination and my divination techniques have uh, hopefully evolved over that time. So remember, this is a pretty young Lon DuQuette that's writing this chapter, and so I want you to always keep that in mind. So here we go, Chapter 6, Tarot Divination. The key to an accurate answer in a tarot reading does not lie in the cards, but in the question. Let's say that as a result of some wonderful cosmic accident, you found yourself in the presence of an all-knowing angel who was willing to give you one accurate and detailed answer to any specific question you might have. What would you ask? Would you ask if there's romance on the horizon? Would you ask which team is going to win the World Series? Would you ask if Lee Harvey Oswald was the lone assassin of President Kennedy? Probably not. If you're like most people, you would most likely be paralyzed by indecision, not wishing to waste such a profound gift on a frivolous or mundane question. Let's assume, though, that after deep thought and meditation, you do arrive at a question that burns at your very soul. A question that distills the mysteries of 1,000 other questions. A question that, if answered and understood, would mean both your intellectual enlightenment and your spiritual liberation. You take the question to the angel and you ask it. In response, the angel opens up the great book of answers. But instead of reading from it, the angel flips through the great book and rips out pages here and there and tosses them at your feet. The answer at last, you say to yourself as you gather up the pages from the great book of answers. But upon examination, you discover that the various pages are filled with curious pictures and graphs and images which don't make any sense to you. Still, you're confident that the angel has answered truthfully, and you remain steadfast in your conviction that your answer lies in the scattered images. So you sit down and carefully examine every detail of the torn pages, the order in which they're chosen, and their relative position to one another. Finally, after a period of struggle with the demons of ego and wishful thinking, you stop looking for the answer to the question and start examining your real reasons for asking the question in the first place. Is your question prompted by some anxiety you're experiencing? If so, what's the source of that anxiety? A person, your environment, personal fears, real or imagined shortcomings of your character or personality? Eventually, it becomes clear that your question is really a complex weave of interrelated questions, each ready to bear its secrets, but only if you are truly willing to face the truth. Now, the angel's message takes on new dimensions. Hidden motives are brought to light, and unrecognized avenues of possibilities appear. From this profound, wider perspective, the meanings of the scattered symbols become quite clear. Now, the point I'm trying to make with the above story probably can be distilled into the following. If you're willing to be painfully honest with yourself when formulating the question, then in the truest sense, you have already received the answer. Any subsequent observed phenomena, physical, mental, or psychic, can serve as the vehicle of communication of that answer. Tea leaves, pyromancy, coin flipping, bibliomancy, observing the flight of birds, the shape of melted wax when you pour it in cold water, or anything can provide you the answer if you're truly prepared to receive it. Traditional wisdom, however, suggests that it's easier to perceive the truth within a perfect or nearly perfect medium. The inner workings of the ever-changing universe are mirrored perfectly in the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, making it one of the oldest and most revered forms of divination in the world. The Holy Kabbalah presents another pure representation of the cosmos in the form of the 78 cards of the tarot. The next heading is called the Significator. How much time do we have? Okay. Before beginning, it is necessary to choose the Significator. The Significator is a card, usually a court card, that is used to represent you or the questioner. In the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic, it can be the court card or the small card that represents the birthday of the questioner. Now, we've already talked about this. The knights, queens, and princes all get to rule 30 degrees of the zodiac, 30 degrees of the year. And they rule 20 degrees of one sign to 20 degrees of another. Now, in one of the appendix, we've got a wonderful chart of this. And as we know, on the Tarot of Ceremonial Magic, all those dates appear on the cards themselves. In the new edition, the new printing of Tarot of Ceremonial Magic, which will be out in April if you've got your pre-order in, I've had them include in the bottom of the box lid, the chart representing all the dates of the years and the court cards and the small cards that each of those little time periods, either the 30 periods or the decans for the small cards, represent. So it'd be very easy for you to find your birthday and find your significator card. And if you want to pin it down to the 10 degrees you were born in, you can even find the small card that lives inside your court card significator. So that's inside the box. And of course, a more elaborate chart is in the book itself. The Invocation. Now remember I said this is written many years ago, and at the time, this was sort of my MO at the time. Believe me, things have evolved. The Invocation. Prior to any divinatory operation, it's important to take a moment to attune yourself and the questioner to the great intelligences with whom you wish to communicate. The adepts of the Golden Dawn created a brief yet effective, or it can be effective, invocation of these universal agencies, which we quote below. Take the cards in your left hand With your right hand, hold the wand over them, or simply hold the right hand over them and say, and this is the Golden Dawn invocation, I invoke thee, Iao, that thou wilt send Hru, that's H-R-U, the great angel that is set over the operations of this secret wisdom, to lay his hand invisibly upon these consecrated cards of art, that thereby we may obtain true knowledge of hidden things, to the glory of thine ineffable name. Amen. Shuffle and cut. Now, I do it differently nowadays, but this is still a... Shuffle the cards thoroughly for 1 or 2 minutes while calmly concentrating on the question. Then set the deck face down upon the table and cut them into 2 piles, or have the questioner cut them. Place the bottom pile on top. Then turn the entire deck face up on the table and carefully fan out, I still do this, carefully fan out the cards from left to right in a large horseshoe. Without disturbing the order of the cards, and starting from the right, I should have put down, locate the significator. Being careful to keep the cards in order, take the significator and all the cards to its right to form a stack. While this stack is still face up, the significator should be the bottom card. Now again, being careful to keep the cards in order, restack the left portion of the horseshoe and place it up on the right stack. Now turn the whole deck face down. The significator should now be the first card you turn over in the reading. Believe me, it's much easier just to show you how to do that than it is to describe it. You just take your deck, your shuffled and cut deck, lay it face down on your table, kind of to your left, and then fan the cards out. And then they're all face up. Then you tiptoe through and find your significator card, and then cut that horseshoe right there. And then all the cards that remain to the left, you scoop them up, put them on their own little half deck, and then you put that half deck all the way at the right end of the horseshoe, and then reassemble the deck carefully. Flip the deck over, and the significator should be the top card. Okay. There are literally thousands of ways to read the tarot cards. The spread we present below is among the simplest to master. The important thing to remember is to be consistent. Once you find a spread that you're comfortable with, the efficacy of your readings will only be diluted if you constantly change spreads. I'm not saying don't change your spreads, but give them a couple of years to work first, okay? Let's see. Okay, I'm going to do this. I give an example of the standard Celtic Cross. And the Celtic Cross thing, each of those cards represents a field, and like what came before and what came after, and what's on the top of your mind, and what's the subconscious, and what's in the immediate past. And they have a field title name. So it's kind of easy to work and to get acquainted with how the cards speak to you. And so you'll need a spread like this, sort of an artificial somebody else's spread, for you to get a feeling for how these cards are speaking to you and how these cards appear in response to particular questions. So you gotta get acquainted with them. It's sort of like warming up to a pet, or training a horse. You just don't jump on. You gotta kind of know how they respond. Okay. Pick the significator and lay it face up with no comment. The next card in the deck will be the first card of the reading. turn it over, lay it upon the significator and say, this card covers you and represents the general influences that surround the situation. Turn the second card over, lay it across the first, saying, this card crosses you and shows the opposing forces, whether for good or ill. Turn the third card over and place it above the first card, saying, this crowns you and represents your conscious thoughts in the matter. Turn the fourth card and place it below the first card, saying, this card shows your unconscious thoughts in the matter. Turn over the fifth card and place it to the left of the first card, saying, this is behind you and represents the influences that have just passed or that are now passing away. Turn over the sixth card and place it to the right of the first card, saying, and this is before you, and shows the influences that will be operating in the near future. So, those first six cards are in a cross like that. Significator down below is number 1. Number 2 crosses it. Number 3 crowns you. Number 4 is below you. Number 5 is forces perhaps in the immediate past, or it's behind you. And number 6 is what's in front of you. Number 5 and 6 could be considered cause and effect sometimes too. Okay. Now we've got this column of cards here that will finish off the reading. Turn over the 7th card and place it to the far right of the 4th card. Say, this card represents yourself. Turn over the 8th card and place it directly above the 7th, saying, this shows your environment. Turn over the 9th card and place it directly above the 8th, saying, this card represents your hopes and fears in the matter. Turn over the 10th and final card and place it directly above the 9th, saying, this card tells the final outcome of the matter, the total result of all the influences exerted by all the other cards. So, that's a very popular, very well-known, well-worn tarot spread. And it's the one that I suggest that people who are learning to read the cards or would like to explore how the cards speak to you in a divinatory situation, to use that. And there's a lot of also collateral literature. Other tarot readers have written concerning the Celtic Cross spread, and it gives you ideas of how it affects others too. So that's why I've used it as the suggestion here. It's also helpful to make the general observations. A majority of trumps, that's the Greater Arcana cards, indicates forces beyond the control of the questioner, because those are big, like, destiny cards. Okay? The majority of wands indicates energy, opposition, or even a quarrel. The majority of cups indicates pleasure, merriment, or romance. The majority of swords indicates trouble, sadness, illness, or death. A majority of discs indicate business, money, and material possessions. Majority of court cards indicates the social gatherings, societies, or that people have a great deal of influence on this question. 4 aces indicates great power and force. 3 aces indicates success and riches. 4 knights indicates swift moving events. 3 knights indicate news or unexpected meetings. 4 queens indicate authority and influence. 3 queens indicate friends in high places. 4 princes indicate a meeting with influential and powerful people. 3 princes indicate rank and position. 4 princesses indicate new ideas or plans. 3 princes indicate youthful gatherings. 4 tens indicate responsibility and worry. Remember how the tens are worried that they're going to lose their individuality as they drip down into the next lower world? Well, 4 tens indicate responsibility and worry. 3 tens indicate buying and selling. 4 nines indicate added responsibilities. 3 nines indicate much correspondence. 4 eights indicate news. 3 eights indicate travel. 4 sevens indicate disappointment. 3 sevens indicate contracts or treaties. 4 sixes indicate pleasure. 3 sixes indicate success and gain. 4 fives indicate discipline and order. 3 fives indicate quarreling. 4 fours indicate peace. 3 fours indicate industriousness. 3 threes indicate determination. 4 threes indicate determination. 3 threes indicate deceit. 4 twos indicate conferences or conversations. 3 twos indicate reorganization or recommencement of a project. Now remember, these are general and traditional tarot divinatory suggestions. Wands don't mix well with cups, but do with discs and swords. Swords do not mix well with discs, but do with cups and wands. Cups do not mix well with wands, but do with swords and discs. Discs do not mix well with swords, but do with wands and cups. And to tell you the truth, I've never seen that, at least I've consciously never seen that manifest. But anyway, I included that information anyway. So tomorrow we'll discuss briefly Appendix 1, which is the astrological information. And because there's so much that's just charts in that, we'll also start Appendix 2, which discusses the rituals of the pentagram and the hexagram. So there. I'll still have to decide what book we'll start again a little later this week. But until then, don't forget the Holy Guardian Angel registration is still open. You'll find it somewhere a little lower here on my page, the link to that. Anyway, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. And get vaccinated if you possibly can. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.